With my 35 years of experience, our team at US Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call US Asset Management today and let's get to work in your financial future.
The left is siding with illegals, attacking ICE, and fighting to let non-citizens vote. Republican Kelvin King is a graduate of the Air Force Academy, Air Force veteran, and conservative businessman. As Georgia's Secretary of State, Kelvin will put Americans first, root out corruption, clean up voter rolls, and restore confidence in our elections. The other candidates had their chance and failed. Republican Kelvin King for Secretary of State, leadership Georgia voters can trust.
Pro-Trump warrior Steve Gooch won't just cut property taxes in Georgia. He'll throw them straight in the wood chipper.
Senior citizens on fixed income shouldn't be forced from their homes. Neither should veterans who have served our country and fought for our freedoms. And neither should anyone else for that matter. Frankly, these crazy property taxes are un-American. I'll tear them to shreds. We'll make home ownership great again.
Steve Gooch for Lieutenant Governor. Toughest tax cutter Georgia's ever seen.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with US Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call US Asset Management today and put us to work for you.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
And we're back. You know, I always treat it like a commercial break. Just a brief commercial break from the time we end and we get back together. So, yes, and we're back. I'm your host, BK, and you're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. We have to welcome the uglies. Now, we're not calling people ugly. We know you're sensitive out there, you know. But the uglies, you know, the ones that just live to attack. And they do. They never attack the content, right? Or the information. They never counter it. They just say ugly stuff. But anyhow. So it is Tuesday morning, April 21st. We're going to try to do 3 segments today. Yes, because we got a lot to work on. And what I'm working on right now is looking who can win in November. Because for the Republican Party, for the nominee on the Republican side, it has to be who can win in November. And the word that some people really, they don't like to hear is, how can we unify the party? Really, unify. How do we unify the party, right? And that being said, because we have the Georgia Republican Party has Republicans in Georgia. We have a get this correct here. We have a couple different lanes. We do. So we have a lane that's strong enough. We call it the base, the grassroots, whatever you want to call it. And we have the strongest base that could put someone on the ballot for November, win the nomination, but they can't win in November. So I see that right now with a lot of races, and people are, saying, well, this person has talked more about these hard hitting issues that we want to hear from people. But who can win in November? So we're going to talk about that. Now, this week, I want to do lieutenant governor race. All right? I want to do lieutenant governor race. And I'll just let you know, I'm going to probably do that this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And one of the reasons that I want to do that one, I went to Unadilla. Wow, I had a great time Saturday night. Georgia 2nd Congressional District down there, Republican Party, Unadilla, Myron Mixon. What barbecue, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I spoke with a couple lieutenant governor candidates. But keep this in mind, and I'm just going to give you one. We'll do it tomorrow. Now think about Fani Willis. Well, maybe you don't want to think about her. Don't ask me to think about Fani Willis. Okay, so think about, just for a minute, relax. Fani Willis for just a second, okay? And then remember Greg Dolezal, bringing Fani Willis in and doing the little stunt. And Fani, went hood, right? Straight out the hood on Greg Dolezal. Remember that, right? Think about this. Now, remember the website that's been put out, and remember Roa, is that her name? The House rep that walked into the Senate and handed Greg Dolezal a pair of bunny ears. Remember that? She did that. A pair of bunny ears. And then when Fani Willis went out and had the press conference and went after Greg Dolezal about the bunny ears, well, I will go into further detail on that when I break down all the lieutenant governor races. We'll talk about that later. So, yes, Unadilla went down there. Let me give a quick shout out to Here We Go. This is Give It Up for the Band, right? What a band. Just a couple shout outs before we get started. I spoke to about everybody down there. There's Chuck Hand. Chuck, I don't want to leave anyone out. Chuck Hand, Mandy Hand, Tyler Johnson, the chair. Tyler Johnson is the chair of the Georgia 2nd District, and all of their volunteers and the people that helped. I know there was other people involved. I don't want to leave anybody out. They did an amazing job. Everyone enjoyed it. The band, I think I shut the place down the other night. Now, I spoke to a little bit of everybody. Attorney General Calzert, all right, that's Attorney General Calzert, and this is his wife, Amy. I spoke with her. And, Brian Strickland, the Attorney General, Brian Strickland was there all day, and I've been to several events, and Brian Strickland has never come up, Attorney General, and asked for my vote. Never come up and asked for my vote. Bill Calzert asked for my vote. So I enjoyed that. Here is the Georgia Republican Party Executive Director. This is Caleb Conaway. Nice young man, nice guy. And there's Mandy Hand. Okay. A little picture. Myron Mixon is a 5-time world champion barbecue. Wow. It was unreal. I got a picture of Myron here in just a minute. But great. Unadilla, he is the mayor of Unadilla. His son, David Mixon, is a Dooley County commissioner. Got to spend some time with them. A lot of great people. Just going to go through this quickly. I won't waste too much of your time. I'm just giving them a quick shout out. Here's Larry Walker, Speaker pro tem, right, in the Senate, Georgia State Senate. I talked with Mr. Walker for a long time. This is my wife and Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. And some of you think that I ask the hard questions. I like that. Some of you really think I ask the hard questions. Trust me, if you could see the picture there, he's trying to answer one of her hard questions. That's Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. So here is Kelvin King. Quick shout out to Hall County. You guys had a great event. I wasn't able to make both of them geographically from one end of the state to the other. I went to Unadilla for a reason, because all of the governor candidates, the gubernatorial candidates attended, with the exception of Brad Raffensperger. And I wanted to see their interaction in a social setting. And I know over at Hall County, you guys did a great job. I really want to give those guys a great shout out over there. Hall County Republican women and anyone that volunteered and worked over there. But yours was just a little different, where you have the candidates all get together. This is where I was able to observe the animal in their natural habitat of social, I don't know what's going on here, folks. But I was able to observe the candidates. It's what I do. How do they interact with the crowd? How did they do on stage? So on and so forth. But so we went down to Unadilla. Here's Kelvin King. Vernon Jones was there. He didn't talk to me. Damn. Now, this one I'm not going to stick on. I feel like I'm giving you the family vacation photos. I promise I'm going to get out. But this one right here, I love giving Chan Jones and James Cooper just a hard time horsing around. We just horsing around, having a good time. I pick on Chan. He gives it back to me. James Cooper's laughing. Chan is the chair of the Georgia 8th District Republican Party, and James Cooper is the chair of the 10th. Here is a conversation I had with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. I got to speak with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for a while. Everybody will say, I know what your answer is going to be. Well, do you blame him? But, Rick Jackson didn't speak to me. Here is Myron Mixum, the owner, and that's Tyler Johnson and Chuck Hand. So, and we'll get back to some of these in a minute. Give you one more here. This is Myron Mixum and my wife and I. Great time. He was a great host. He really was. I don't know. I didn't do a head count from start to finish. Maybe a couple hundred people. Nice casual setting. So I want to start with, I think I'll do this when I do look at the governors in a minute, governor candidates. But I want to start with the Senate. But I spoke to everybody. I spoke to Clark Dean. I spoke to Ken Yasgur. I spoke with, here's one that's gone around. Let's see. Chris Carr. Someone sent this to me that they had taken this picture of me talking to Chris Carr. I talked to Clark Dean running for governor. I talked to Chris Carr running for governor. I talked to Ken Yasgur running for governor. I talked to Burt Jones running for governor. And they put bodyguards around Rick Jackson. I was not able to talk to him or shake his hand. Again, I'm going to hear, well, do you blame them? Well, look, if you don't want to shake my hand, that's fine. You don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I've never attacked a candidate in a social setting like a barbecue. I would, be cordial. I was nice to Chris Carr. There's going to be people upset that I was nice to Chris Carr. That being said, but they put bodyguards around him where I couldn't get anywhere close to Rick Jackson. I'll show you those pictures later. Now, moving right along, and here's one. I want to show you this. I'm going to go back here for just a minute because Buddy Carter was there, and we're talking about who can win in November. And let's see what I have here. Let me get back to, I just want to show you this one here. Now this is, and I don't know how well you can see this on your screen, but this is a side-by-side of Rick Jackson and Burt Jones. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Now what I did, they were not actually on the stage side-by-side, so let me put the disclaimer up here so you know, okay? No one altered the pictures. Ready? No one altered these images. I just took an image on the same exact stage of Rick Jackson from Saturday and Burt Jones from Saturday. Same stage they're standing on. Okay? Same height. I didn't lower one. Nothing. Okay? And I asked AI to put them both on the same graphic. That's it. So, in transparency, this is an AI-generated photo, but not altered, okay? So they're put together because I wanted you to see the side-by-side contrast. That's going to be important when it comes down to November, because I'm going to explain in my governor's segment. So this morning, thank you, everyone in Unadilla. Wow, I enjoyed it down there. We had a good time. They had a band. I kept saying to my wife, you know what? We're leaving as soon as the band plays a song I don't want to hear. I think we shut the place down. Anyhow, so the top of the ticket is John Ossoff right now, the U.S. Senate in Georgia. Top of the ticket. And we are struggling with a couple things here. The division in the state. So right at the very top, we don't have a unified candidate. And that's okay that we have several primary candidates. I don't have a problem with that. But we don't have a President Donald Trump endorsed candidate. Now remember, Senate is the top of the ticket going into November. And Democrats are salivating. Yes. Oh, yes, they're just wringing their hands. Democrats are salivating and looking for holes in the entire Republican ticket somewhere that would collapse several races. I mean, we actually have a Supreme Court, too, Georgia Supreme Court. I can't remember the last time we had two Georgia Supreme Court justices that were up for re-election that are going to be very strongly challenged. They're going to be they're challenged. Those judges are definitely challenged. The challenge from the Democrats coming after two Supreme Court justices that were appointed by Republicans, it's unreal from top to bottom, okay? Democrats are going to have a slate, and they're looking for everywhere they can collapse our ticket. Now, the top is Ossoff. Again, Ossoff has a lot of money. A lot of money. All right? He is a controversial, liberal, left Democrat. Has a lot of money, out there campaigning. brings in a crowd. Top of our ticket, no Trump endorsed candidate. The second, now, here's where this is not attack. So get off me, don't even start. This is not attack. We're studying politics. I got the most amazing call out of the 1st District yesterday. It was amazing. I enjoyed it. I was on the phone yesterday afternoon with someone in the know. They have been in politics down there in the 1st District. I think they might have worked for Jack campaign. May have been involved in Jack Kingston, not Jim Kingston's first campaign 17 years ago or whatever. Yes. Okay. Battle tested in the 1st. We'll put it like that. Great conversation. Absolutely loved it. But that being said, this person I'm talking to understands we're looking at everything. So at the top of the ticket, all I ever hear is Kemp is popular. Brian Kemp. Okay? Now, all I hear is Governor Kemp is really popular. And you can't go out and campaign against Governor Kemp. Well, okay. No problem, because he is so popular. Now, but his popularity is not carrying over to Derek Dooley. It's not. So at the top of the ticket against Ossoff, our side has 3 candidates right now. We don't have a Trump-endorsed candidate. Not yet. Early voting's getting ready to start. Don't know if at the last minute, but don't have one. Second, we have Buddy Carter. We're going to go over that in a minute. We have Mike Collins. And we have Derek Dooley. Derek Dooley, never been in politics, was brought in by Governor Brian Kemp, supported by Governor Brian Kemp, and taken all across the state. Marty and Brian Kemp have had Derek Dooley everywhere. Gilmer County, Pickens County, Appalachian Gun and Pawn, everywhere. But the media is following the Kemps, the governors. I call them the governors. We have 2 governors, Marty and Brian. They are following the governors and Derek Dooley, but mainly just asking Brian Kemp questions on what bills do you plan to veto, what bills do you plan to sign, how do you plan to handle the QR code, are you going to call a special session? So here is very popular, according to polling, according to people, governor that can't get Derek Dooley barely over double digits, 11. I don't know if he's at 11. He may be, Derek Dooley in the Senate race may get high enough, all right, to push Buddy Carter and Mike Collins into a runoff. May, all right. So we have, remember, we're staying at the top of the ticket, who can win in November, because you want coattails. You can say what you want, but if you're running for, you got your Senate and your governor. Those are the big ones. But if you're running for lieutenant governor, you're running for secretary of state, you're running for board of education, okay, labor secretary, insurance commissioner, whatever, even down to Supreme Court, you want coattails. You want those people that just go in Republican, 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 don't split ticket. Now, I will say this before we get much further. You Republicans out there, you may want to put on your prayer list, like God is listening to election results. Don't get that wrong, okay? No attacks. Please, no attacks. But I say it tongue-in-cheek, your prayer list, but you might want to pray that we have some races that have split tickets. You might want to start putting that on the prayer list, lifting that one up, get a group together, because I'm telling you right now, this is going to be interesting. So you want coattails all the way down the line. So Ossoff, we've talked about it, the Cook Political Report has moved the U.S. Senate race in Georgia from toss-up, coin toss, to leaning Democrat. He's got the money. Now, Dooley, to me, is out. He doesn't register, okay? Doesn't register. Even with campaigning with Brian Kemp, being endorsed with Brian Kemp. Now, that's another thing. Like, will Brian Kemp completely come out of the election process once his candidate is done May 19th? Yes, just weeks away. His candidate is through. Does he go out and hit the road? I mean, will we see Brian Kemp and Marty Kemp out there campaigning for this runoff to beat Ossoff? Because Brian Kemp did an interview with Politico, the governor did an interview with Politico, where he has basically warned, yes, put the good people, hardworking Georgians, on notice of a bumpy ride going into November for Republicans. So does he pull up his tent stakes after November 19th, the governor and Marty, if Derek Dooley doesn't go to the next round, being a runoff, and go home? We shall see. Now, that being said, I count Dooley as out. I met him one time briefly. I count him out. I don't think he makes it past. I think the only thing he has a possibility of doing is making the runoff. Now, let's go to Buddy Carter, the other two candidates, and Mike Collins. So Mike Collins was down there, and I'm going to come back to Mike Collins in just a minute. But Mike Collins was down in Unadilla Saturday. And no matter where Mike Collins is at, he will not shake my hand. He will not talk to me. Now, I think I pretty well know why. But he will not speak to me. All right. He can rile up the crowd a little bit. He seems to be the front runner. Right now. It looks like he's on his way of being the nominee, all right, for Republicans to go up against John Ossoff. Now, I'm going to show you something because Buddy Carter has come out swinging. Now, Buddy Carter, if you talk to people in the 1st District, there's a couple things down there that Buddy Carter did not support or did support that several people are not happy about. But yesterday, I got an opportunity to ask someone that is, I'm going to say, entrenched in 1st District politics that said Buddy Carter's constituent services are very good. Now, why does that matter? Constituent services. And I'm going to tell you why it matters. Because Republicans whisper, they don't want to say it out loud. Probably I'm going to get in trouble for saying it out loud. But there's county commissioners, there's small cities, there's places around the state that will tell you that although John Ossoff votes liberal left, right, he focused on constituent services. I mean, people will whisper all over the state, you know what? John Ossoff, his office got us some money here, got us some money here, has good constituent services. So Buddy Carter, I have heard in the 10th district, has done a very good job with constituent services. Now, true or false, that's what I've heard out of some people in that 1st district. So Buddy Carter came out swinging, and he started down here in Unadilla, and he came with an ad, all right? Georgia's three-way Republican race to take on Democrat U.S. Senate John Ossoff just took one of its sharpest turns yet. U.S. Representative Buddy Carter rolled out a new TV ad on Monday morning that hugs President Donald Trump while unloading on rival U.S. Rep. Mike Collins over congressional ethics probe into allegations of misused taxpayer funds. While Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Mike Collins was abusing them, says the narrator. So, Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins. So Buddy Carter, all right, he has stayed solid all through this race. When the race actually first started, Buddy Carter sent, how many times did Buddy Carter send a video saying he was the MAGA warrior, right? He is the MAGA warrior. How many, and I'm talking months, 6 months ago, maybe 3, I don't know, 4, that Buddy Carter sent you mailers. Now keep in mind, Donald Trump is not endorsed in this this campaign. No one. The only endorsement is Derek Dooley from Governor Brian Kemp that can't get out of the starting gate. I mean, nice enough guy if you meet him, but so, and, you know, Mike Collins gets on the stage and says, I'm the only one in the race that got 2 pieces of legislation signed by 2 different presidents and 2 different parties, and he says Lake and Riley. Okay? I get it. But, so Buddy Carter came out with this ad. We're going to play this ad for you now.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history. But while Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Mike Collins was abusing them. Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
I'll say, okay, so now we have to find the cronies. We have to get to the cronies. I always love cronies, right? Got to have a good set of cronies. What would politics be? What would politics be without some cronies in the background, right? So, Buddy Carter, you know, he there you go, right? And at the event in Unadilla Saturday, this is where he lets us know that he's taken the gloves off, and now Mike Collins was there, right? There's Buddy Carter. So I'm going to try to find 2 clips from Saturday from Buddy Carter. I think I have them both in a row here. I'm going to put these up. And bear with me just a minute. This is Buddy Carter from Unadilla Saturday.
Ossoff. Folks, I don't have any baggage. I'm not going to embarrass you. You're not going to be able to say I've got ethics complaints lodged against me or that I've only voted once in the last 20 years. You see me. I'm the one who can carry the message. Folks, I'm the one who can win. I promise you 3 things. I will never embarrass you. I'll work my butt off, and I will win. And that's what we got to do. We got to win this seat. Keep in mind what this is about. It's about winning. It's about getting rid of John Ossoff. And I'm the one who can win. Folks, I need your help. I'm asking for your vote. Look here, guys. Hear me and hear me well. We live in the greatest country in the world. You hear about people trying to break into this country, but you don't.
Ken Yasgur.
All right, so as you can see, Buddy Carter said, I don't have ethics violations, investigations. I won't embarrass you. I won't be only voted once in 20 years. I think he's referring to John Ossoff. But what Buddy Carter is really trying to turn, as you can see with the ad, he uses Donald Trump, right? He lets you know Mike Collins is under ethics investigation, cronies, and what is his focus? What is Buddy Carter's focus? I can win in November. And I started out telling you this. The Republican Party right now, every voter out there, you have to ask yourself, wasting a vote? Voting for one, helping another get on the ballot? I've said that over and over. I get phone calls. That was one thing I said about my Secretary of State analysis that I did last week. So, top of the ticket, U.S. Senate, you have to think about it. Now, is Buddy Carter accurate in what he says? I mean, let's see here. So, let's go to Crony. Ready? Let's go to Crony. And here's our crony. Our crony is Brandon Phillips. Now, Brandon Phillips was I'm going to show you everything, okay? Now, Buddy Carter put this out, so when Mike Collins and Brandon Phillips, if there's retaliation, because usually it's what they do. And I'm going to tell you something that Brandon Phillips told me face to face. But Brandon Phillips is the crony that he's referring to. And this is longtime chief of staff. He's no longer chief of staff. We're going to show you everything for Mike Collins. Now, the other thing is, we'll get into this in the governor's race, the LT's race. Brandon Phillips, he has, I don't know if it's called a consulting company or what he does, but we understand he works for a lot of other what did AC/DC say? Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. I don't know if they're done dirt cheap, but Brandon Phillips may be the guy in Georgia politics where candidates call him in for the dirty deeds, not so dirt cheap maybe. I don't know. So Mike Collins, this is Brandon Phillips. All right, now, I want to get this to you so you can see everything. This is the ethics complaint for Brandon Phillips refers to a formal referral A detailed investigation report from the Office of Congressional Conduct to the U.S. House Committee on Ethics dated October 7th, 2025, with a full OCC report and findings released publicly on January 5th, 2026. Brandon Phillips was Chief of Staff for Mike Collins at the time. The OCC conducted a parallel but separate review alongside one with Representative Collins. So they're both under House ethics complaint investigations, both Mike Collins and Brandon Phillips. This is the crony that he's talking about. Alongside, the board unanimously found substantial reason to believe that Phillips violated House rules and standards of conduct in two main areas. Now, you got to keep in mind, this is Mike Collins, Chief of Staff, all right? Now, Mike Collins is not separated from Brandon Phillips. He just took him out as Chief of Staff, but he's still on Mike Collins' campaign staff. They're still together. He didn't fire him or anything. Now, what's in an ethics complaint? Why jump to conclusions there? But again, this is what Buddy Carter brought out, not BKP. I haven't really gone down this route. I was waiting to see, is someone going to take this road? And Buddy Carter did. Key allegations and finding. The report states Brandon Phillips may have used congressional resources to unofficially or otherwise unauthorized purposes. If Mr. Phillips used congressional resources for unofficial or otherwise unauthorized purposes, then Mr. Phillips may have violated federal law. All right? Let's see. Mr. Phillips may have discriminated unfairly by dispensing special favors or privileges by participating in the retention of an employee with whom Mr. Phillips had personal relationship. If Mr. Phillips discriminated unfairly by dispensing special favors or privileges, then Mr. Phillips may have violated House rules, standards of conduct. Let me get into this a little further, and because let me put this up here. Let me get to this here. I want to make sure I have it here. Unfair special favors, romantic relationship with paid intern Caroline Craze. I think that's her name, Craze, Craze, right? Caroline, paid intern. Phillips allegedly participated in retaining, hiring his girlfriend, pre-existing personal romantic relationship, as a district office paid intern. Craze was paid $10,288 plus total from Representative Collins members' representational allowance in 2 periods. Multiple witnesses, current and former staff, confirmed she never worked in the district office, was never on intern list, performed no duties, and was employed full-time elsewhere. Cox Communications. She was not a student, typically for unpaid interns, and hiring bypassed normal process. So, misuse, the second is misuse of congressional resources. Funds for travel and expenses. Phillips was reimbursed $70,760 in travel expenses in 2023, one of the highest among offices. Mostly lodging, airfare, and ride shares. Allegations. Now, my question would be in this, at what time do they separate his workload with other candidates? Because even before he was dismissed as chief of staff, he was already working on other campaigns. Allegations claim some expenses were for personal use, commuting, or campaign-related travel rather than official business. His duty station was reported D.C., yet he was reimbursed for D.C., Georgia travel while allegedly working from home or on campaigns. Just saying. The board noted questions remained but could not fully substantiate without cooperation. However, they found substantial reasons to believe he used resources for unofficial purposes. Now, let me say this. I'm going to show you the date this was filed. All right? This ethics complaint. And since the ethics complaint has been filed, my understanding, and we'll get into that in another segment, as he's been hired on several other campaigns. Maybe campaigns need dirty deeds, not so done cheap. The board noted questions remained but could not fully substantiate without cooperation. However, they found substantial reason to believe he used resources, non-cooperative, and recommendations. Phillips, along with Representative Collins and others, refused to cooperate. They didn't cooperate. When the investigation first started, they just said no. He ignored all the notices, requests for information, requests for interviews, testimony, Now, that being said, we'll get into this right here. The board recommended the House Ethics Committee further review both allegations and issue subpoenas to Phillips, Collins, Caroline Craze, and others. Official documents publicly available. You can go and read all this. So everything I'm telling you, you can go read all of it. And plus, let's keep this in mind, so when they come after your host here, Buddy Carter put this out. Buddy Carter went for it. Now, what I'm thinking is, if Buddy Carter started to tell you this, and he is telling you he can win in 2026, what Buddy Carter's trying to tell you, if you think John Ossoff is not going to run these commercials, if you think John Ossoff is not going to go through this, if you think Democrats are not going to have a field day here, that's what Buddy Carter's trying to tell you. And I'm telling you too, you have to think who can win in November. You may not like it, but you got to think about it. Now, I asked the question. Yep, Mike Collins changed Brandon Phillips' title in congressional office because I wanted to make sure that was accurate. Pre-January 2026, Phillips served as chief of staff. Starting January 2023, the Office of Congressional Conduct reports from October 2025 through January 2026 still referred to him in that role. As of January 2026. Now, who launched their campaign in January? That later in my next segment, I will look at the camera and tell you. I asked them if Mr. Phillips was working for their campaign, and they won't respond. As of January 2026, his title in congressional office officially became Senior Policy Advisor. This is confirmed by official congressional staff tracking and multiple news outlets reporting on ethical matters. I would venture to say he is still being paid. Yes. Out of the congressional budget. Now, let me move to the next one. You could go research every bit of this, okay? Confidential, subject to non-disclosure. This is the report, all right? And it's the Office of Congressional Conduct, United States House of Representatives, the Board of Office of Congressional Conduct, hereby the board, by vote of no less than 4 members, September 24th, 2025, adopted the following report and ordered it be transmitted to the Committee on Ethics of the United States House of Representatives. Subject, Brandon Phillips. Nature of alleged violations, they're all right here, okay? Recommendation, okay? The board recommends that the committee further review the above allegations concerning Mr. Phillips because there is substantial reasons to believe that Mr. Phillips used congressional resources for unofficial and otherwise unauthorized purposes. The committee voted, the board recommends that the committee further review for the above allegations concerning Mr. Phillips because there is substantial reason to believe that Mr. Phillips discriminated unfairly by dispensing special favors or privileges by participating in the retention of an employee with whom Mr. Phillips had a personal relationship. There was no one absent on the committee, and it was a 6-0 vote. Now, this is a 33-page House ethics complaint. 33-page. You can read all 33. Don't take my word for it. Right? Now, let me see. I thought I had... I thought I had one more I wanted to show you, if I can find it. It's, let's see, 60. And this would be the last page. It's a 33-page Ethics House complaint. Information the OCC was unable to obtain and recommendation for the issuance of subpoenas. There's a recommendation. The following witnesses declined to provide requested information and or testimony, all right, did not cooperate. Mike Collins didn't cooperate, Brandon Phillips, Kevin Mason, John Furland, and Monica Burton. The board recommends that the Committee on Ethics issue subpoenas for Mike Collins, Brandon Phillips, Caroline Craze, Kevin Mason, John Furland, and Monica Burton. All right? So, just before we close this segment on the I'm going to play this one more time before we close this segment on the U.S. Senate. Let me take this down and let me take this down. One more time, I just want to play this ad for you.
Buddy Carter, warrior, great guy.
President Trump and Buddy Carter are working to help Georgians keep more of what they earn by passing the largest tax cut in history. But while Trump and Buddy Carter were protecting our wallets, Mike Collins was abusing them. Collins is under federal investigation for misusing taxpayer funds to benefit himself and his cronies. We just can't trust or afford Mike Collins.
I'm Buddy Carter, and I approve this message.
There you go. There you go. Now, all I'm telling you right now is Buddy Carter released this ad before we close this segment on U.S. Senate, right? Derek Dooley, he's out. Keep this in mind. Top of the ticket, Senate, John Ossoff. He is completely out. Now, will Brian Kemp campaign for our Senate candidate? Maybe if it's Buddy Carter. Maybe if Buddy Carter is the nominee for Senate, maybe Brian Kemp will campaign. I doubt Brian Kemp will campaign for Mike Collins. I doubt it for a couple reasons. Mike Collins is very upset being from the 10th district, being actually Brian Kemp's congressman. Mike Collins is very upset over the fact that he thinks Kemp has helped stop and prevent Trump from getting involved. And I'll tell you why. Because Mike Collins actually communicated with Governor Kemp about running first and foremost. And Brian Kemp, instead of getting on board with Mike Collins, Brian Kemp brought in Derek Dooley. So I don't think there's a friendship there, that after what Brian Kemp did with Mike Collins telling him, I'm going to run for Senate, I'd like to get your support, I'm telling you first so we can start looking for someone for Congress in the 10th district, so on and so forth. Hey, and the next thing you know, Brian Kemp has Derek Dooley in the race. So Buddy Carter's telling you he can win in November. Democrats will take everything I just showed you, and they will put it right out there. I mean, you'll have Brandon Phillips, you'll have Mike Collins, you'll have this ethics complaint. They will spend a lot of money on this, and you got to think about it. That's why Buddy Carter ran the ad. And, there he is in Unadilla, and he's a very nice guy. So I'm not telling you to support Buddy Carter, vote Buddy Carter. Can he win in November? I think Mike Collins has some things out in front of him that would cause him some problems come November. I really do. All right. And Derek Dooley's a non-starter. All right. And there's Mike Collins. And there's, that's Burt Jones. Let me see where the one picture is that I want to show you. You go this way. This is Brandon Phillips. So I went to Mike Collins' kickoff, okay? I've known Brandon for years. And I went to Mike Collins' campaign kickoff. And Brandon was standing there, and it was over, and Brandon was standing there, and I was standing there, and I turned and face to face. So I was going to be nice and cordial. And I said, Brandon, I'm up in the 9th district. You know, I'm up in the 9th district. And what'll happen on a lot of these campaigns, folks, a lot of these campaigns, they will call me and say, hey, do you know who the GOP chair is in this county? And I don't care what campaign it is. I know. You know how I can get in touch with them? You know, our candidate wants to speak. And I always want every voter out there to get all the information. So I don't care. If you're a candidate, you want to speak in the GOP and you're looking for the chair, and I know, yeah, here, call the chair. You know, go speak to the voters. So I looked at Brandon Phillips and said, hey, Brandon, yeah, this is a good event. It's being, good event. I wish you well. And, I'm up in the 9th district. If there's anything I can do to help at any time, give me a call. Just, there you go. This guy looked at me and he said, the guy on the screen looked at me and he said, we're going to win this with or without you. We don't need your vote. You ready? One more time. I can look at it. I remember it is seared into my brain exactly what this guy said to me. Hey, Brandon, I'm in the 9th district. If you ever need help up there with anything, give me a call. We are going to win this with or without you, and we don't need your vote. So I'm not telling you exactly how to vote, but I will tell you, Brandon Phillips requested I not vote for Mike Collins. I'm not telling you to do that, but he's requested I not do it. Just saying. So Buddy Carter is trying to tell you he is the guy that can win in November. Don't forget, top of the ticket, Ossoff. Underneath there, governor, lieutenant governor, on down the line. So, is Buddy Carter right? Will this give, I've heard people say, we don't have a candidate that can go up against Ossoff. I've heard that. Now, don't get upset with me. And, Governor Brian Kemp, he made an attempt with Derek Dooley. That was his candidate. Now, the other thing that we'll have to think about is when we get a candidate, because this is the top of the ticket, John Ossoff is banking the money. He's got a lot of money. And what we will have to consider at the top of this ticket is, will the money come off the sideline? Now, when you have 3 candidates in the race, you got a lot of money out there. Like, we're going to wait to see who's running. And Governor Kemp, all the donors that he has available to him, will they come off the sideline, and will Governor Kemp encourage those donors to come off the sideline for the Republican nominee, whether it be Buddy Carter or, Buddy Carter or Mike Collins. So that's a little bit of our Senate update. We're going to come back. I've got 2 segments we're going to do on the governor's race. And I want to do a segment. We're going to come back. We're going to do a segment on the governor's race because in Unadilla, I watched the animal in their natural habitat searching for votes from the crowd. We're going to discuss how these candidates interacted with people who I found, how did Rick Jackson do outside of the controlled environment of his campaign? So, folks, don't forget, I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. Now, I'm told if you scan this, right here. I'm told if you scan this right here now, at any time, it will take you to our Substack. All right, our Vora at BKP Substack. It'll take you there. All right, and don't hesitate to send me text messages. Email me, send text messages, let me know what you think. This is the way I want to do it now. I'm going to take a brief break. That's what I'm always going to say. I'm going to take a brief break. We'll return soon. And when I return, I'm going to tell you a little more about being in Unadilla at the barbecue. The heck with those darn candidates. Excuse me. The hell with those candidates. That barbecue. And nanner pudding. Boy, that was some nanner pudding. You know? Baked beans, slaw. Wow. You gonna eat your cornbread? All right, folks. I will see you next time. Let me get this out of the way. Who can win in November?
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
With my 35 years of experience, our team at U.S. Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call U.S. Asset Management today, and let's get to work in your financial future.
The left is siding with illegals, attacking ICE, and fighting to let non-citizens vote. Republican Kelvin King is a graduate of the Air Force Academy, Air Force veteran, and conservative businessman. As Georgia's Secretary of State, Kelvin will put Americans first, root out corruption, clean up voter rolls, and restore confidence in our elections. The other candidates had their chance and failed. Republican Kelvin King for Secretary of State, leadership Georgia voters can trust.
Pro-Trump warrior Steve Gooch won't just cut property taxes in Georgia. He'll throw them straight in the wood chipper.
Senior citizens on fixed income shouldn't be forced from their homes. Neither should veterans who have served our country and fought for our freedoms. And neither should anyone else for that matter. Frankly, these crazy property taxes are un-American. I'll tear them to shreds. We'll make home ownership great again.
Steve Gooch for Lieutenant Governor. Toughest tax cutter Georgia's ever seen.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with U.S. Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call U.S. Asset Management today and put us to work for you.